Be cautious of friends who seem to keep you tethered to sadness, hurt, resentment, or worry. Sometimes, without realizing it, we may have a friend who subtly reinforces our past pain, preventing us from moving forward. Every time we attempt to release an old wound, they bring it back, sometimes in seemingly supportive ways, yet always returning us to the emotions we seek to overcome. Such a friend may hold on to our grievances for us, making us feel guilty for wanting to heal. They might remind us of past betrayals, injustices, or losses, keeping us emotionally anchored to the past. They create this poor you trap for you, and through this devalue you, in a way that is veiled as support, and you feel guilty for having a feeling that there's something weird to it, and so you prefer to load the blame on yourself and that there is something wrong with you that you have these thoughts. This often happens after we have escaped a toxic or narcissistic relationship, when we are vulnerable, seeking understanding, and grateful to anyone who listens. At first, this person appears to be a wonderful friend, patient, supportive, and always ready to help us process our pain. But over time, we may notice that we feel drained after interactions with them. We may sense something unsettling, but dismiss our intuition, fearing that we are being unfair or ungrateful. The role they play. Some people adopt roles like the helper, fixer, rescuer, supporter, or social worker, uplifter, and the like, but their true motivation is not our healing. Instead, they thrive on the drama, drawing energy from our pain. Whether they are conscious of it or not, they often do not want us to fully recover, because if we do, we may no longer need them in the same way. Their role in our lives is tied to our suffering, and the moment we experience true happiness, the dynamic shifts. This can feel like a betrayal to them, even though our healing should be celebrated. Importantly, this behavior is not always malicious. Many of them may not even realize what they're doing. However, their impact is harmful regardless of their intent. What matters is how their presence affects us. Do they uplift us, or do they keep us anchored in struggle? When you start to recognize this pattern, you'll be shocked by how often it appears in your life. You'll notice how people try to paint you as sad when you're not, abused when you're not, a victim when you're actually thriving, or unsuccessful when you're actually successful. It's all about devaluing you and making you feel worthless, even when things are going well for you. Interestingly, when something harmful to you is present, they'll often try to convince you that it's good for you. At first, you might think they simply misunderstood you or that you give off the wrong vibe, which leads them to interpret things this way. But it's not that. The reality is that they manipulate you with their reactions, pushing you into the devalued poor you trap, making you feel worthless even when things are going well for you. This behavior stems from people either consciously or subconsciously acting out societal or religious programming. The key difference is in how they react when you mirror their behavior. If they strongly object to you doing the same things they do to you to them and then try to manipulate or gaslight you instead of acknowledging their actions, it's clear they know what they are doing. They will attack, suppress, or deflect to avoid taking responsibility for their manipulative behavior. This can manifest as outright aggression, a soft and hypnotic dismissal that feels like they are putting you to sleep, or a seemingly reasonable explanation that appears valid in the moment. It makes you feel hypnotized in a way. The parasitic, predatory program within them reacts quickly to camouflage itself, making you feel violated, confused, shocked, or hypnotized, and in a sleepy, good feeling so that you doubt yourself. The goal is to prevent you from maintaining clarity about the experience, so that you don't see the parasitic, predatory mechanism that you just witnessed and identified clearly. So that you don't stay with the experience, but brush it off, or dismiss it and move on. The parasitic, predatory force that controls them is keeping you in doubt, to ensure you stay trapped in the cycle, and it can still freely work through their host and keep you as their supply. The sacrificial programming within you is also a predatory, parasitic force that leads you into victimhood situations and keeps you trapped in them. It works in tandem with the other forces at play. There is a mechanism of abuse and victimhood that cooperate without our conscious knowledge, and it's been programmed by global systems, with religions being the main, and perhaps the most powerful, centers of social engineering. The abuser gets power and strength as the reward, and the victim gets the feeling of goodness, holiness, selflessness as a reward. But that's a whole new topic. The systemic trap, the religious parallel. Organized religion operates in a strikingly similar way. It programs individuals into misery, guilt, and unworthiness, then presents itself as the sole path to salvation. The system first instills the wounds, shame, fear, self-doubt, deep unworthiness, dirtiness, and the like, and then offers relief, promise of salvation, but never true freedom. This relief is merely another layer of dependency, a tighter leash disguised as comfort. How the programming works. 1. Instilling unworthiness. A. You are told that, by default, you are flawed, sinful, or broken. B. The message is reinforced through mass ritual text, hymns, confessions, and constant reminders of your shortcomings. 2. Creating the fear of autonomy. A. If you try to break away, you are warned that you will fail, be lost, or suffer. B. Any personal happiness outside the system is framed as dangerous, selfish, or fleeting. 3. Controlling the narrative. A. The institution claims ownership over morality, goodness, and truth. B. Dissenters are labeled as misguided, rebellious, or even evil. 4. Offering conditional relief. A. You can be forgiven, but only through them. B. You can be healed, but only if you remain within the system. C. You can find peace, but only if you surrender fully. D. You can be worthy, but only through your association with them and the cruel, psychopathic God they paint as a loving, merciful, and forgiving figure. 4. Cognitive dissonance. The clergy's role in this cycle. The priesthood, as an institution, provides the perfect cover for narcissists, manipulators, and patriarchal abusers. Cloaked in righteousness, wisdom, and supposed divine connection, these figures wield enormous influence over others while remaining above question or critique. Their power lies in breaking people down, instilling in them a sense of being flawed, dirty, and guilty. Then, when individuals inevitably struggle under the weight of this conditioning, the clergy steps in as a source of guidance, absolution, and comfort. For those who seek genuine happiness outside the religious framework, the system responds with scorn, warning that such joy is shallow, temporary, or sinful. Sermons, films, and cultural narratives reinforce this programming, depicting those who seek peace beyond religion as misguided or lost. The message is clear: suffering is noble, struggle is purifying, and those who find happiness without institutional approval are to be pitted, or condemned, and excommunicated by default. The religiously indoctrinated community around you is indoctrinated into beliefs, and the beliefs presented by religions and society are lies, disguised as truth, meant to cover the true nature of reality. If everyone around you has the idea in their head that suffering and martyrdom are the paths to heaven and they hold it as absolute truth, when you offer them ideas of living without suffering, ideas that are not in any way bad or harmful, and that represent the actual truth, that you yourself experienced and that can be replicated by others easily, it defies their false truth that to them is absolute truth that cannot even be questioned in their mind, and so you endanger the entire structure of their reality. It also feels to them as if you're stealing their chance at salvation, leading them down the wrong path, as they have been warned many times by their so-called good, holy, saint fathers on pulpits and pedestals to stay away from such ideas because they are harmful. While in truth, it is the way to freedom from the parasitic and predatory system that they have built and uphold with lies. As a result, people will fiercely resist and try to destroy you and these ideas, painting them as vain, selfish, bad, superficial, and so on. The same tactics in society. This manipulation extends beyond religion and into broader social structures. Many communities and social circles operate on the same principles. Belonging is tied to suffering. Those who refuse to engage in toxic emotional exchanges, who do not bring pain, drama, or self-deprecation, are often excluded, smeared, or ridiculed. Happiness, confidence, and self-sufficiency threaten these structures because they remove the supply that sustains them. When we begin to heal, we may notice that certain people withdraw from us or react negatively. This is not because our healing is wrong, but because their role in our lives depended on our pain. Recognizing this pattern is crucial to breaking free. Breaking the cycle. The first step to liberation is awareness. Once we recognize these dynamics, whether in friendships, religion, or society, we can begin to reclaim our power. We must give ourselves permission to outgrow relationships that thrive on our suffering, without guilt or fear. True connection does not require perpetual struggle. Healing does not have to be a performance for others. Happiness is not a betrayal of our past. How to break free. 1. Trust your intuition. If a person or institution makes you feel drained, controlled, or guilty for wanting joy, freedom, true health and well-being, question why. 2. Set boundaries. You do not owe anyone your pain, not even those who once supported you. Setting boundaries usually means leaving them physically, moving away, and going minimum or no contact because their aim is to break through all the boundaries, and it is usually not that you didn't have boundaries, it's that you couldn't have them because they would destroy them. 3. Reclaim your power. Recognize that real healing allows you to simply be able to exist in safety, without being in a constant conflict and war zone, exhausting yourself by constantly building walls, boundaries that they will destroy anyway, and fending off their attacks. 4. Redefine freedom. True liberation is not dependence on a new system, but the ability to exist without one. Solitude is the key to connecting to the truth about yourself and the true nature of reality. The ultimate truth, freedom, comes from understanding that we do not owe anyone our pain, not a friend, not a priest, not a system. We have the right to step into joy, peace, and wholeness, without needing to justify it to those who benefited from our brokenness.